What's going on, everybody? Good morning, and today's a very special day. Not only is it the first day of a new month, it's also the first day of a new year. 2024 is done, moving into 2025, and I like to take one video on the first day of every month, the first video I make of the month, and just talk about the month that we had on Seahawks Brendan Nelson and the month that I hope to have going forward. And when you get to the end of the year, it's also, you got to look back at the whole year as well and think about the year that you hope to have going forward, right? So today is actually a pretty big day. Hard to not reflect on the year that was and the year that you hope will be. So let's start with just the month of December because that's pretty easy, right? Month started out strong. Seahawks won their first two games in December, including maybe their best all-around effort of the season in beating Arizona in Arizona. And then the tank ran out of gas. Seahawks lost two games to good teams, and they found a way to win a game in such a demoralizing way that I think a lot of fans basically view that game as little more than a prettied up loss. And they didn't get the help they needed from other teams to stay alive. So as we go into January here, as we go into 2025, the Seahawks are eliminated, and they were unable to prove that they belong among the better teams in the league. They're a pretty good team. They're better than average, but they haven't worked their way up into that really good to great type of stuff. They're not, like, they are a fringe playoff team. But in order to actually make sure you make the playoffs, you need to be more than a fringe playoff team, because sometimes when you're on the fringe, you get left off. And the fan base, you could definitely feel it. When we got blown out by Green Bay, and it was a good game, don't get me wrong. Like, the team didn't play terribly or anything like that. It wasn't a disaster. But when the Seahawks lost those two games, it felt like the air was out of the balloon and it wasn't going to come back. And part of the reason why it didn't come back was because the team was unable to rally into the postseason, which was still possible. There were things that could have happened to help them, but it didn't happen. So December ends up being a pretty middle of the road month overall, just to be perfectly honest. It was a decent enough month, picked up a few hundred subs. And we did get up over 19,250 subs. You might remember, before the season, I was thinking maybe 20,000 was possible. And in order for that to happen, understand that in order for that to happen, the team would have had to play very well, definitely at least make the playoffs, and probably win at least one playoff game. That would have definitely pushed things further. That definitely would have gotten more people to plug in to the degree where something like my channel would be appealing to them, and it would have gotten additional views. It would have gotten all that kind of stuff that comes with having a good team to talk about. Great team, elite team, one of the best teams. And again, at the end of the season, we're not super far away, but we're not there yet either. So that month that we just had, which was on YouTube, on YouTube, good, but not anything super standout. That's also kind of how I feel about the year of 2024 overall. Last year, 2023, on Seahawks Brendan Nelson was actually, I think if you look at the overall numbers and you take everything in context, a little bit better. Now, the reason why 2023 was a little bit better is because we had a ton of draft capital. We had 4 picks in the top 53, and we had a top 5 pick. We had 2 picks in the top 20. So all the draft stuff I did, well over 100 videos, pushing close to 150, 200 even, of draft videos were popping. People ate that stuff up because they couldn't wait to see what would happen. This year, we didn't have that. We had 1 pick in the first round, no picks in the second round. We had 1 pick in the top 80, I think. So the draft stuff just wasn't as compelling. So this is something that goes all the way back to the offseason. This isn't even about the season we just had. The season we just had was pretty similar to last season. The team was better, but you had the same thing happening where the team found a way to suck the life out of the room a few times. Like when you saw Seattle lose 3 in a row in weeks 4, 5, and 6 of the season, that sucked the air out of the room. When they got blown out by Buffalo and lost that heartbreaker to the Rams, that sucked the air out of the room. And then when they got hot, won those games, showed that maybe they were getting back to a place where they were a great team, maybe even a team that could compete at the highest level. They get smacked down a little bit by losing the back-to-back games. The air gets let out of the balloon. Now, the context is different. I maintain that because we have a first-year head coach. I think there's a big difference between a 10-7 season with McDonald and what a 10-7 season would have been with Pete Carroll. But that doesn't change the fact that it's hard to get super excited about a team like that. And kind of like last year, you can find 3 clear, concrete moments where the team just didn't give you any reason to invest a ton of time in thinking about them. Like, if you're thinking about this season, after that Buffalo game, and maybe after that Packers game, and maybe after the first Niners game, you look at those moments and you're just like, okay, this is going to start to annoy me. So let's just watch the games on Sunday, and then I kind of check out. And I think that's where a lot of fans are. And they don't want to be there, but they're there because there's only so many hours in the day. They would invest more of their hours into a great team, but we're not there yet. So overall, 2023 was a little bit better, but this year was very close, and we still did some great things. Obviously, we didn't get to 20,000 subs, but I always thought that was a little bit of a unrealistic goal. I thought that maybe if we made the playoffs and won a game, we would be there by the end of that playoff run. Obviously, that's not happening. As of right now, the sub count when the year rolled over to 2025 is 19,263. And also, I actually want to show something kind of fun here. Bear with me for just 1 second here. Something kind of cool here. I'm going to go ahead and go slightly bigger screen here. Let's just go full screen here. So my brother had this made for me for Christmas. And what this is it is kind of a mock plaque, right? This is a mock plaque that kind of mimics the plaques that YouTubers get when they get 100,000 subscribers and 1 million subscribers and 10 million. Like, I think the 100,000 one is made out of wood, the million's made out of like gold, and then the 10 million's made like a diamond or something. So this one's just made out of plastic with a wood block underneath it that you can plug it into to light it up. So I thought that was kind of fun. That was kind of cool. I'm trying to get a better angle on it, but you can see presented to Seahawks Brendan Nelson for passing at the time when he had this made, 19,099 subscribers. So that was one of my Christmas presents, and I thought that was a pretty cool idea because we are a long way away from 100,000. That may not be happening anytime terribly soon. But yeah, so that was, it was a milestone. It wasn't like a super concrete milestone the way 20,000 would have been, but you only hit those milestones every now and then. If it was easy to hit them, then you'd be hitting them every day. That's really about it there. 2025. Well, first, January. Let's just start with January. Looking at what we're going to be dealing with after this last game, which I know is not going to be that compelling for most people. We're going to basically swing right into off-season stuff. First, we've got the questions of, are there going to be any coaching changes? And I think the only guys who could realistically go would be Ryan Grubb and Harbaugh. I expect Ryan Grubb to go at this point, and I kind of expect Harbaugh to go at this point. I think it's more likely than not. Nothing would shock me. Obviously, I think everything else is pretty safe. Maybe we can have at least a little bit of a conversation about John Schneider, but I personally think that Schneider is pretty safe. I don't think that we're seriously thinking about getting a new GM. So that'll be something I maybe make one video on in the coming days, and then that'll do it, because until I see reason to believe that we're moving off of him, I don't think it's a realistic scenario, and I don't think it's something this team is even really thinking about. So what I would say is that once you clear that, it could slow down for a while. Like, you've got February where you're going to be watching the playoffs play out, and it's not going to be that interesting to you unless you want to hire an OC from one of these teams in the playoffs. Like, if you want to go get Josh McCown, I mean, the Vikings need to lose first before you can hire him. If you want to get Stenovich, the Packers have to lose first. So there's going to be some intrigue there, but it's not going to be like last year. Last year, we were super plugged into the coaching search. This year, there may be a coaching search, but it's not going to be for a head coach, so it's not going to be ultra compelling in the same way that the head coaching search was last year. So once we get clear of that, we're going to start opening up into free agency, and I am going to supplement that with some draft stuff, but I always have to remind my viewers, free agency comes before the draft. You have to get through free agency before you can talk about draft stuff in full. You just have to. Free agency is first. If you sign player X, Y, and Z, that affects your draft. If you let player A, B, and C go, that affects your draft. So we need more information. And there's going to be plenty to talk about before free agency. That doesn't start until March. That gives us an opportunity to talk about the roster moves the Seahawks should make, cuts, restructures, extensions, and then start to get a feel for what might be available to us in free agency. So we're going to have plenty of time to do that. Could be some dead periods. And that probably takes us through not only January, but February. And if anything happens, then of course we'll be here to talk about it. But I mean, February does tend to be a pretty slow month for football stuff, unless your team's in the Super Bowl. So be it. And as for the year of 2025, I like the rhythm that I've worked into on this channel. I think that the way the channel is operating at the moment is pretty much where I want it to be. I don't think I can ever be somebody that posts a lot of video clips of stuff and does a lot of film review. There are a lot of people out there who already do that. They do it better than I could. And I'm trying to focus on talking about this one team as much as possible. That kind of stuff takes hours and hours and hours to put together. And sometimes YouTube just decides, no, you don't get to do that. It's really hard to work around the YouTube system. So I've had people ask for like posting, clips and talk through the clips of players and look at plays and dissect plays. And I always kind of say the same thing. I've tried to do that before, and YouTube just, they didn't even let me post it. It wasn't even a matter of it like, oh, we're going to demonetize it. No, we're just going to take it down. So it's like, I don't want to put all that work into something and have it get taken down like that. So I don't think it's ever going to go like that. I think that overall the year is going to be very similar. I will say that in 2025, expectations are going to be higher. And if we have the kind of season that I think we as Seahawks fans should be reasonably expecting, then it could be the best year ever on this channel. Like, if you were to take a look at 2024 and you were to parlay that to the growth you would hope to have in a year where your team makes a playoff run, and this would be the year where you would hopefully get to that point, maybe 25,000 subscribers would be in the cards. That's probably a little unrealistic, but could you get to 24,000? That seems like a good, solid goal. So I think there are going to be some big things this year. If the team makes improvements and pushes themselves up to the next level where they're at least a solid playoff team, not a fringe playoff team, but a solid playoff team that can win a division that probably won't be that great next year, or, well, now this year, and perform at the very least at the standards of the Legion of Boom era, the early and later Legion of Boom era, not the prime, which was the standard with Super Bowls, then we're going to have something pretty great here, because this channel has shown. When the team is winning, people come out for it. So that's about it on the YouTube side of things. I want to say again, thank you to everybody who subscribed, who watched videos, who did any kind of donations, who participated in streams, even the haters. You know, it is at the end of the day all appreciated. It was a good year. I wish it had been a slightly better year. I wish that we had won a few more games and maybe gone on to win a game in the postseason, make the postseason, make a playoff run, whatever you want to, however you want to qualify that. A little bit better would have been nice. But I feel like most people have pretty positive feelings about this team right now, personally. The sense that I get is that most people are pretty positive. Not everyone, but most people are. So that's what I can say about YouTube. Thank you for the 19,263 subscribers. Maybe we can get to like 19,300 by the end of the season on Sunday. Maybe. It's obviously not that big of a deal either way, right? Like, I don't expect people to be super plugged in at the moment because we know the team's eliminated. Twitch, I didn't stream on Twitch as much as I wanted to this month. Had some stuff going on that kind of kept me away from Twitch for a decent chunk of the month. There were some holiday celebrations. I had my birthday. I was busy a lot. I just wasn't able to stream as much. So I'm still not done with Metaphor, which is embarrassing. I absolutely thought I'd be done with that game by the end of the year, and I'm not. Now, I do think I'll be done with it in the next few days, but it's definitely a playthrough that has been dragging along here for a while here, and it's an excellent game. I think it's a fantastic game, and I'm really happy with it, but I want to beat it. I want to see what happens at the end, and I think I will in the next few days. We're right up close to the end game here. And that was basically everything that I did in the month of December on stream. I don't think I did much else. Maybe I think I did like 2 Demon Soul streams, and that was it. And they weren't even very long streams. So we got to beat Metaphor in January. We got to move on to we got to beat Demon Souls. We're gonna do some American Truck Simulator in December. I'm sorry, January. Those are probably going to be the 3 main things. Finish Metaphor, finish Demon Souls, start American Truck Simulator. 2025 should be a pretty fun year on the channel overall, the Twitch channel for games. We're up to 740 followers over on the Twitch, by the way, and like 50 on Kick. So things are going pretty decently well over there. It's not catching on to a super strong degree, but it does give me a little bit of an audience and a little bit of a hangout to have when I'm playing games, and that's ultimately what I'm looking for, and that's ultimately what I want. So, overall, yeah, 2024 was a good year. Could not quite make it a great year, and that's something that we're going to strive for in 2025. So thank you to everybody. Hopefully, 2025 provides the high-level success from the Seattle Seahawks that we're looking for, and if it does, then things can blow up. Things can really just accelerate to the point where the growth becomes almost, I mean, it's obviously never going to get to this point, but almost exponential. All right. Everyone have a good rest of your day. I will have more videos later today talking about more Seahawky stuff, but I like to take this video at the start of every month just to talk about where we are. And this one ended up being longer, but it is the first day of the year, so you got to indulge me a little bit. All right, everyone have a good day. See you guys later. Go Hawks.